What's up, Sneeples? RTN season is fast approaching. It is within our reach, and I am here, just like in the PTQ season, to provide some budget decks. So these are decks at under $100 that you can pay in order to build these decks to get to the top 8, get that cold foil Zuri, get that cold foil Riptide, and hell, maybe even get an invitation and even get the cold foil Jubil sword. So today's here we're going to be talking about is Katsu. Katsu is a very effective hero, can actually be pretty damn good into Lexi, and you can sideboard pretty well into Oldhim, and always being able to Kadachi those dragons. So let's get into this budget build Katsu deck that could still take you all the way.
So here we got Katsu here. His ability being able to search for a card of combo as long as we discard a card that costs 0 and replace that card with a card of combo. Obviously Katsu is the combo hero, and so we are going to have some combo lines. But before we get into those, let's talk about the equipment. So we are running Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. We are not running Mask Momentum because this is a budget build. If you have a Mask Momentum, you should run Mask Momentum. However, that's an $80 card. But in order to make this deck, a budget deck, we cannot afford the Mask of Momentum. So instead we have Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, but this also works pretty well for what we want to do. It also blocks for 2. Also has Blade Break, but it allows us to search for a specific card. So in some ways, this can actually be more beneficial than Mask of Momentum per se. And the reason is because we get to search for an individual card. It does have to have a power of 2 or less, but what's really nice for us is that our combo enders have a power of 2 or less. So it does find the cards that we actually need to find. So Mask of Pouncing Lynx is the head equipment that we are looking for. Next, let's talk about Heart and Crossstrap. Again, we're not using Tunic here, and even if we had Tunic, we still might just prefer Heart and Crossstrap. And the reason is because we have a combo starter that costs 2. And it basically, if we can crack this Heart and Crossstrap in order to basically make that combo starter free, then our big turn can just commence like that. And really with Katsu, you just need 1 to 2 big turns to win the game. Blazing Your Eye, this is more of a sideboard card. This is if you're going against a fellow Katsu or a fellow ninja like Fi. So that's really all this is for. It's a little cheap sideboard card. Okay, Breaking Scales. This is a main board card. We're using this to give our combo +1 if it is blocked out completely. So maybe we're coming in for 4 and they block for 4. Well, we can still hit with our combo piece to come in for 5 to allow us to either trigger Katsu's ability or the Mask of Pouncing Lynx ability, or the card on hit ability that it might naturally have. This also has Battle Worn, so we can also defend with it and still keep it around, which is nice. We have Tide Flippers. This is a sideboard card. This is our only Arcane Barrier that we are running. Perhaps if you feel like there is more of a wizard presence in your local meta, then you might want to add like Northern Gloves or something. But for now, all we have is Tide Flippers. It allows us to have Arcane Barrier while still being able to go again to certain attacks. Next is Snapdragon Scalers. This is our main board piece of equipment for the legs. Just being able to give our attacks go again. Every single one of our attacks can be triggered off this, except for Surging Strike, which we will get into. So this has a lot of wide range of use. And then finally, if you're not playing Katsu, if you're not playing Kadachis. So we have our 2 Kadachis here, which is one of our most important attacks because they just get in damage. Kadachi Lock is so real. Okay, so now let's get into the main deck itself, and we're going to start with combo. So the first card we will start with is Surging Strike. This is the combo line that we have our deck really built around. Surging Strike is our only 2-cost attack. Comes in for 5 with red. We are also running yellows. So yellows and reds. Doesn't block very well, but most ninja cards don't. But it starts our combo line, which we will get into. So this is our very big, powerful combo line here. Like I said, we are also running yellows. Now let's get into another, which is kind of like a pseudo surging strike, and that's Bead Like Water. Now this costs 0, but it only comes in for 3. And in order for it to effectively turn into a surging strike, we have to hit and pay 1 resource. That's not too big of a problem. We could just do that if it's able to hit. Really, it's really more of like, can we get the hit on with 3 attack or not? But if we do, if the opponent allows us to, then this can be a surging strike for basically 1 versus having to pay 2 for it. So it can be very effective in that manner. Okay, so from surging strike, we have into Descendant Gust Wave. Descendant Gust Wave is a 1 for 3 that blocks for 2 that has Go Again on its own, and that's a terrible card. However, paired with a Surging Strike or Be Like Water that turns into a Surge Strike, this becomes 1 less and gets +2. So now it becomes a 0 for 5, and that is where the real value shows. A 0 for 5 Go Again, especially after coming in with a 2 for 5 Go Again, is just massive amount of damage, but it doesn't stop there. The combo line keeps going. I also want to show, before we get into that though, that I am running the yellows as well. So we got 3 yellows, 3 reds. The yellow will be a 0 for 4, which is still a break point. So still a very good card. Now let's move into another combo line that Surging Strike can go into, which is, instead of Descendant Gust Wave, Whelming Gust Wave. Now, Whelming Gust Wave is, in red, a 0 for 3 that blocks for 3, so it blocks a little bit better, but does not have natural Go Again. However, with Surging Strike, it will get +1 and gain Go Again. So now this becomes a 0 for 4 that has Go Again, and guess what? If it hits, you draw a card. So that is extremely good for getting a combo turn off. That's exactly what you want. We are also running the blues, and the reason why we are running red and blues instead of red and yellows is because it is a 0 cost attack that is blue, which means our Kodachis here get to have Go Again once Whelming Gust Wave is pitched, and that's what we're looking for with our blues. We want them to be 0 cost. And so Whelming Gust Wave could still work. It would only be a 2 with Go Again, but you know, it still works to provide an on hit and force your opponent to block this card, even with it only coming in for 2. Okay, so both Descendant Gust Wave and Whelming Gust Wave can go into this next card here, which is Bonds of Ancestry. All right, so just a quick review here. We have our Surging Strike that comes in first into either Descendant Gust Wave or Whelming Gust Wave, and then into Bonds of Ancestry. Now, Bonds of Ancestry is just a 2 for 4 that blocks for 3, which is very meh. But on the combo, if one of these cards, either Descendant or Whelming, was played before, it costs 2 less, so now it's a 0 for 4. And when it attacks, so it doesn't even have to hit, just when it attacks, you banish a card with combo from your graveyard. You can then search your deck for that same card with the same name. It could be a different pitch color, but as long as it has the same name. And then you banish that, and you can play it until the end of the turn. So Bonds of Ancestry really opens up to bring in another attack, and then also gains Go Again, which is very nice. So we're running the reds and yellows here. Again, this one doesn't even have to hit for the ability to happen. So it's actually very nice that this is the case. But yeah, Bonds of Ancestry is the third piece to this combo line. And then finally, the last piece to the combo line is Dishonor. Now, Dishonor is a blue 0 cost, which is what we want. Comes in for 2, blocks for 3. Again, good. But if we have the combo with Bonds being the last card, it gets +2. So now it's a 0 for 4. And if we have the full combo, so starting with Surging into either, it has to be Descendant Gust Wave. So starting from Surging to Descendant Gust Wave to Bonds, if we have that full combo on the chain link, then this has, when it hits, the hero loses all abilities for the rest of the game. That is pretty insane. Nothing else like that in the game exists. So it's very unique, Dishonor is, but a very good card, and it's worth trying to get the combo off. And guess what, guys? It's not very hard to as well. And that's kind of the coolest part about it, is that especially when you have Katsu's ability to grab one of your combo cards, as well as the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx to be able to find a Dishonor here. See how that works? Mask of the Pouncing Lynx can find Dishonor. Then that really helps to get the combo going and get the full combo out there. So this is your big turn. This is the turn that can basically kind of win you the game. But let's kind of move forward with it and see what else can happen in this deck. So let's say you have this whole combo line, and with Bonds of Ancestry, let's just pretend that you have a Fluster Fist that you might have previously played or blocked with in your graveyard. You might not have your Dishonor in your graveyard, and you might not want to go and grab it right now for whatever reason. So instead, you can banish one Fluster Fist and go grab another one. And basically, you're ending with a 0 for 4 after playing this 0 for 4. That's really what Fluster Fist is in here for. You're not doing its combo line. We don't have Head Jab, so we don't have Open the Center. But Fluster Fist is a 0 for 4 that can come in 0 for 4 is just good value. And then it's something that you can search for because it has combo. And that's pretty nice. So that's why we have a Fluster Fist. It's just good value damage. Okay, so I'm going to put this combo chain away here, because we got a new combo chain coming out. Now this one isn't the main focus. The Dishonor line definitely is the main focus, but let's talk about this one because it's in here as well. And it starts off with Soul Bead Strike. Now Soul Bead Strike is a 0 for 4 that on hits can go again. It does block for 3, so it's a good block. But, it having to hit to get go again can be a little dicey, because that would encourage your opponent to fully block it. Now, luckily, it's at a break point, so it has to be blocked with multiple cards, if not by a D-React. But the other thing that's pretty good here is that we do run Snapdragon Scalers. So if this gets fully blocked and we have the rest of the combo line, we could still use Snapdragon Scalers in order to getting the go again. All right, so I'm going to put that there. The next piece to this combo line is Crane Dance. So Crane Dance is a 0 for 3, but if the Soul Bead Strike was before, it becomes a 0 for 4, go again. And it's a little harder to block this one because it can't be defended by attack action cards with base power greater than the number of chain links you control. So it might actually be hard for your opponent to block a Crane Dance, which can be good because if they blocked out your Soul Bead Strike and they don't block your Crane Dance, then you can find the last piece of the combo line with Katsu or even Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. So let's get into that. The last piece of the combo line is Find Center here. And unfortunately, all I have is my whiteboarder, but that's okay. It's a budget deck. But Find Center here is another 0 cost blue that is a 2 power, so it can be searched with Mask. And it blocks for 3. And it says if Crane Dance was the last attack this combat change, Find Center can't be defended with cards with costs less than the number of chain links you control. So another card that's kind of hard to block. And it gains, if it hits, create a Zen State token. Okay, let's find out what that is and why we want to get one of those. All right, here we have the Zen State token. So it's a aura, so it stays out and it enters the battlefield with 1 balance counter on it. At the beginning of your action phase, you destroy Zen State unless you can remove a balance counter. Okay, now let's see what it really does. Whenever your hero would be dealt damage, prevent 1 damage that source would deal, which is very, very good when you're looking at your opponent coming at you with Kadachi. So now this deals 1 less. If your opponent's coming at you with Aether Ash Wings, they're not going to deal any damage. It makes breakpoints, maybe not a thing. If you think about like a Snatch, now it's only coming in for 3. You can just block with 1 card. Zen State is a very, very good card. And that is why it is worth grabbing with Find Center if you can make this combo chain work, because Zen State will really get you momentum and help you win the game, really. So that's what we're looking to do with the Find Center line. So these are your 2 big combo lines of the deck. There is another combo line that we will get into, but that comes with the sideboard. But for now, let's talk about how we can make these combo lines work. Like, how can we make sure that the cards hit? And one trick to that is Ancestral Empowerment. This is just an overall great ninja card, being able to give the attack action +1 as attack reaction. So you can play this as a reaction, give it +1, and on top of that, draw a card. So that's also very nice too. You just get to replace itself. So you basically get to give a free +1 while replacing itself, which is awesome. So that is one way we can sneak in damage. Another way is the classic Razor Reflex. This card will work on mostly every card in our deck with the exception of Searching Strike, because that one costs 2, but all the rest of our cards cost 1 or less and gives +3. It also even gives our dagger +3 if we really want it. So Razor Reflex, a very good card to sneak in damage with. And finally, a new card that just came out that we use is Concealed Blade. Is our last bit of extra damage to get in, sneaking it in. This is an attack reaction. It is Assassin and Ninja. Obviously, we're just Ninja, and it just gains a +1. But here it is a 0-cost blue pitch that allows for our Kodachis to get go again. So we like it for that factor as well. So these 3 cards here are our way of being able to sneak in damage in order to get our combos chain going. Okay, now let's talk about just the good value cards that we have in this deck. And the first one is Snatch. We really like Snatch because Snatch is a 0/4. It draws a card, which is awesome. Having an arsenal can really help set up our big combo turns. And so if this allows us to draw a card to get that arsenal, we're happy. We can also use Snapdragon Scalers with this card if we felt the need to. That's also not a bad target. And it's a 0 cost, so if we wanted to, with Katsu's ability, we could discard Snatch in order to go grab a combo card. So Snatch holds a lot of value within this deck. Next up is not a 0 cost, but a ninja card that works pretty well, and that is Take the Tempo. So Take the Tempo here works extremely well if you had to block with 2 cards and then you just have 2 cards left. So if you have a blue that costs 0 and Take the Tempo, then you are chilling, because the idea with Take the Tempo is when it hits, if you've hit 3 or more times this combat chain, you banish the top card of your deck and you may play it until the end of your next turn. So it basically lets you have an extra card in your hand until next turn. And the best way to go about Kodachi, since it only costs 1, is to pitch your blue here to come in with Kodachi, Take the Tempo. Those are 3 hits. If they all hit, you get to have your extra card for next turn. This is on a break point, so it's not easy to block. You have to do a 2-card block here at minimum. So a very good card. Very good card we like to see. Just good value. All right, let's talk about the last card of our deck, and this is Lord of Wind. This card gets better with our sideboard, and we'll get into that. This is our transitional card to our sideboard, but we run this in the main deck because it's a 0-cost blue pitch, blocks for 3, attacks for 2, and that's what we look for with our blue pitches. So that's why we have it in the main board. Now let's get into the sideboard and why Lord of Wind is a good card. Now, what makes this work is Mugenshi's Release. So let's get into what makes Mugenshi Release work. Let's get into that combo chain. So this combo chain starts off with Surging Strike, as what we would expect. That's our best combo chain. Surging Strike starts it there. And again, it goes into Whelming Gust Wave, which gets the +1 and go again and draw a card on hit, with Surging Strike being before it. But this time, instead of the Bonds of Ancestry, we are coming in with Mugenshi Release, which is a 1/4 that blocks for 3, but if Whelming Gust Wave our last card, it becomes a 1/5 and has go again with the on hit of being able to search for as many Lord of Winds as we'd like. And now let's talk about Lord of Wind. Okay, so we search for Lord of Wind with Mugenshi Release hitting, and Lord of Wind says, which by the way, I want to say real quick, if they block 2 cards here on Surging Strike and then have to block 2 cards on the Whelming Gust Wave because they don't want you to draw a card, then it gets real hard to block out Mugenshi Release. So now the combo is really in your hands. But Lord of Wind then says that if Mugenshi Release was the last attack, this combat chains, as an additional cost to play Lord of Wind, you may pay any amount of resource. If you do shuffle that many cards with Searching Strike, Whelming Gust Wave, or Mugenshi Release from your graveyard into your deck. So that does not include the ones that are on the chain. They're not in the graveyard yet, but it does include all the other Searching Strikes and Whelming Gust Waves and even Mugenshi Release that you may have played. Now, what's really cool is that it also gets plus power equal to the number of cards you shuffled in. Well, with Mugenshi Release, you can go grab up to 3 Lord of Winds, and then you can use your extra Lord of Winds to pitch into this Lord of Wind in order to gain the resources needed to increase its power and shuffle as many cards as you can back into your deck. This is obviously the strategy you want to apply when you're going against like more fatigue style decks like Oldhim. This helps to make your deck full of hits all over again, gets you the combat chain all over again. So Lord of Wind combo line is very, very effective against fatigue. And that is the last combo line of the deck. So this deck runs 2 combo lines in the main board, a third in the side, but we have a few other sideboard cards let's get into real quick. These cards are just going to help us with fatigue matchups mostly, but a few can help us with aggro matches. But the first one is Silver Winds Shuriken. This is a 0 cost blue, so that's pretty nice there. But it's an item. This is our first ninja item that we've gotten. And basically, you can use it as an attack reaction to give a card of combo +1. So it's like breaking scales. So now you can have another breaking scales. We run 2 in the sideboard here. A very good card just to get over damage and make full block not as effective. Next is Time Snap Potion. Here again, this just allows for, maybe you want to start the combo line with Whelming Gust Wave instead of Searching Strike. Well, now you can, and Whelming Gust Wave might not have go again, but if you have this, you have an extra action point, which means you can play into Mugenshi Release, which still just recognizes the Whelming Gust Wave. You don't need the Searching Strike to make the whole combat chain work. And then you can still Lord of Wind after the fact. So Time Snap Potion just allows you to do some janky stuff like that. It makes your combo lines a little easier, and again, mostly for the fatigue matchups. Now, we also have some cards that block pretty well. The first one is Flick Flag. It's a 0/4 defense reaction that blocks pretty nice, but also allows you to have your combo cards block for +2 more during this turn. So after you block the first attack, maybe your second attack comes in, and you can use your Whelming Gust Wave to block for 5 instead of just 3. So this could be very good against like Lexi or other go wide decks that come to looking to deal massive amount of damage, kind of like Briar. And then finally, our last sideboard card we have is the classic Sink Below. Just a classically good card. You can just bring it in against any decks that might have on hits or that have big damage, kind of like Azalea, to help be able to block some of it. Okay, so that is Katsu. Katsu is a very fun hero. We're gonna have a video up showing how the deck plays. I'll play it on Talishar against some random people, and we'll show how effective this budget deck can be. Because truly, you didn't really lose anything. The only thing you're really missing here is a Mask of Momentum, but you can make Mask of the Pouncing Link work very effective with this deck. And so Katsu can be a deck that can really take it all the way to get you that top 8, to get you that co-foil either Uzuri or Riptide, a ticket to Nationals, as well as Jubil, the Spellblade, in order to get that nice co-foil. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like Katsu, but you're under a budget, this is the deck, this is the way to go. I encourage you to build it. Until then, keep on fabbing.